So English is good for you?
Yeah, I'll try my best. Yes,
Okay,
thank you,
but it's okay to interrupt it because you're going to leave your mic on. And if
thank
you
you,
have to, you can just interrupt and have Perry translate for you.
thank you. Yeah, that's what I
So don't
asked
worry,
Perry earlier.
make it very casual. See, I'm
Thank you,
relaxed. See, I've got my whiskey. No, it's tea.
thank you. I got my coconut drink.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
I get a latte in the mornings with coconut milk, not cow milk.
Mm,
Coconut milk. Probably shouldn't even have one, but it's planet Earth. What are you going to do? So, Sue, I just call you Sue?
that's fine. That's how most my people in the state, yeah, know me because relative is very difficult.
Yeah, but you just call me Scott. That's fine.
That's fine. Thank you.
I mean, I got to tell people to call me something. I never related to the name or my last name or any of that.
Like a rocker,
Oh, Rocek? Rocek?
Roger?
Yeah, that's Czechoslovakian 300 years ago. So it's not what I relate to. I use my pseudonym pen name, which is the official Library of Congress copyright name, R. Scott Lemriel. Lemriel is the first part of a two-part name that is my astral name. Makes a link beyond this world. And then I have other names up through the planes. And then in the high worlds, I have a single name, altogether different from what I disclose to people. I don't disclose that. I guess that would be at the insistence of, I think you've heard of silent mentors in some of these journeys.
Yes.
That was at their insistence. And it's Satnam too. It's, keep your name in the upper worlds where there's no negative nature. Do not disclose it to people down below because they're not ready for it anyway. It's more important you find out your own true self than know my name because that doesn't do anybody any good. So R. Scott Lemriel is my copyright name.
Thank you.
Okay, so you know it's on the record. I don't ever hide it or anything like that.
Thank you.
Okay, and when you go to the book like the Sayre's Agenda, even in the top copyright page, it says R. Scott Lemriel and then small print, aka R. Scott Rochek, right there on the first page.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay, so it's not hidden. I just don't, it's not comfortable for me to use it. It doesn't vibrate with me well. And I didn't choose the parents I was born with anyway. And I didn't get into this body till I was 3. Someone was kicked out and I was forced into it with no memory. I had an awakening experience when I was 3 that stayed with me my whole life and headed me in this direction because they couldn't suppress everything. That's the best way I have of describing it. And then I had to keep that silent from my parents, family, everybody, all through my adult life. I couldn't tell anybody. I had to develop this to a point till after I was 60 and then start revealing this to the world. The world wasn't ready. So it was very difficult, I can tell you. Very difficult.
You've done a marvelous job.
Well, I've been asking for more help because we need all the help we can get.
Definitely. Yeah.
And people in the States seem to be more reluctant they're more mindlessly entertained. I'm not being critical, it's just that they seem to be more easily distracted than people that come from Thailand or that has a Buddhist background. There's a little bit higher plane involved in that. It's on the mental plane, so I think people are a little more ready. But it's just boots on the ground. It takes about 150 million people out of 8 billion to transform a planet. That's all. That's a small percentage, but we're not there yet. We're not that far. Maybe 10 million, maybe 5. We've got some work to do. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's see here. I've got that. We're recording. As you know, when we do a secondary implant removal, did you have one of those, by the way?
Uh, yes,
Secondary.
I have.
Good,
Yes,
good. The reason for that is important because it gets a lot of these little blocks that are artificial, torture, death things. That's why we never go into them. And we don't have time for any of that. They're not even your experiences, so we just want to get rid of them. But it makes the door open so you can go and see how you ended up on this planet. I mean, you got here somehow and you don't remember, which means there's subconscious terror and fear programmed somewhere. It says, do not remember this or we'll kill you and eat you again. It's very prevalent in people on earth. World leaders and religious leaders are all making decisions every day based on fear. Subconscious fear they don't even know they have. Since fear is negative and not a real human emotion, when they make decisions that way, it's always wrong. Every single time. And they keep funding things to try to correct the misdirected decisions they made last year. And it goes on and on and on like this. And it makes no sense. So there has to come about a change on a global scale. And it's like working with people from the inside out. When they're out of their bodies at night, and everybody is, they get better help. They're more open to change. And then at some point, they find this work. So you were being worked with before we crossed paths, or before you crossed paths with Pari. You're already being worked with.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason is because you're not from here. You never were. Nobody on Earth is originally from Earth anyway. Human beings did not evolve on this planet, which is what's being taught to people in schools. It's just not true at all. Human beings are very old, billions of years old, and they did not evolve originally on Earth. All these races we see on Earth come from different star systems that have different suns that produce a different change in characteristics in skin tone or eyes or whatever, but slight modifications from basic human. And not all the human races out in this galaxy are just two-stranded DNA. Most are four. So they have much more capability to start the journey above the void than people on Earth. It takes more to get a person on Earth up to speed, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, it just takes what it takes. Pari knows. Yeah, she knows. It just takes some work. It's not easy. Okay, so I think I should start this off with, since you speak and understand English so far, with the hue. And when I do it, this becomes telepathic as soon as I clicked on the record button. And this means that beings like Satnam, which is just miraculous, you have no idea, to me, how incredibly rare and unusual and phenomenal that it is that Satnam even comes down into the lower worlds to oversee this work, because they never did that before. And Turelian, well, Turelian doesn't even have a physical body anymore. They gave that up 1 billion years ago. We get our genomes and our DNA from them, from the Say-Rays. Long time ago, even before there was life on this planet. So there's a lot for people to remember. So much, and they're just terrified to. Most people pray to God, which is fine. Religion and faith is fine, but it should lead to direct experience, or it's more of a trap than anything else. It should lead to a person having direct experience with what and who they pray to. And I don't mean by faith or belief alone, but by really knowing. The knowing is what makes people wise. It's what makes them masterful. It's what gives them the ability to be trusted, to be taken to higher heavens, so to speak. Because they don't really end up where they think they go, the way they are. If a person thinks they're saved by Buddha, or I won't mention any other names, but other religious leaders or organizations, it makes it too easy for them. In other words, they stop growing, they stop changing, because they figure they're already saved. And then that way they think they're going to some permanent place, but they're not trained to be able to actually co-creatively work with the source behind all life. So they get reincarnated or they get sent back. This has to change, because that old system of good and evil is a failed creation. The worlds and the galaxies and the dimensions are all just fine. The silent mentors take care of all that. But the way beings are unconsciously suffering from a very deeply set amnesia in the lower worlds of time and space, I don't just mean your physical body on Earth, your astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies as well. We're not even aware of each other, much less working with each other as they should be. So when we go on these journeys, it has a lot to do with transmitting to those bodies you're running on these other planes, being aware of each other and beginning to help you, beginning to work with each other as they should be. Fear prevents the use of higher faculties. Higher faculties like immortalization, telepathy, having a photographic memory, and things like this. Anything like that requires the use of higher faculties. Higher faculties come from what we are above the void. We're supposed to bring them down here and get them manifesting through bodies we are running on this planet. And people on Earth are not doing that at all. In fact, they're doing quite the opposite. It goes back into galactic history. The last great war in this galaxy took place 500,000 years ago. There are no wars out in space between aliens and greys and reptilians or anybody else. They're being changed. They've been removed from our solar system and this planet. That was a long time ago. So there's people in the disclosure communities now still talking about cow mutilations and greys abducting people and reptilians in bases underground and all this stuff. There are no reptilians on this planet. Greys stopped abducting people 25 years ago or more. There have been no new situations of such occurrences because they were removed, but not by people on Earth. This is something that's going to be quite an eye-opener for people on this planet when they realize this stuff for themselves. So we get boots on the ground. And Sue, you, Pari, and me, and others are becoming boots on the ground for this change. Because as we go back across the void, when we get into this primary implant review, it's going to make you smarter, it's going to make you more intelligent, you're going to have a higher IQ. You're just going to know with childlike wonder things that you couldn't comprehend a year ago. You'll just understand them. Yeah, you'll say, yeah, I know about those dimensions, those planets. It'll become second nature to you because it was once. And so you have a right to it. There's nobody preventing me from doing this work, but it takes a certain number of people on the ground waking up enough to help this happen. Call it spiritual law. There has to be a certain percentage of a population involved co-creatively to make this change happen. We're working to get that number to 150 million. This is where the story of the 100th monkey comes into it. Do you know about that story?
I'm not sure. Maybe if you don't mind.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Japan has 2 islands offshore that have monkeys on it, and it's just monkeys. And people would bring crates of food to them and fruit for them to eat. Now, if a piece of fruit dropped into the sand, they would eat around it. And then one day, this one monkey watched this piece of fruit roll down in the water in the ocean and got washed off, so he ate the whole thing. Right when that happened, all the monkeys on that island started cleaning their fruit and eating the whole fruit. The monkeys on an adjacent island that have no way to connect with each other started doing the same thing. That's the 100th monkey theory. That's the story of the 100th monkey. You get a certain percentage of something happening, and it sweeps the whole planet. That's what this is about.
I understand now.
We have lots of people from other worlds and master teachers that are willing to help us here now that they weren't before. Just willing to let us blow ourselves up, That's different now. It's changed. Or we would all be dead now. There wouldn't be any life on this planet. So something's prevented that nuclear war, and it wasn't government people or generals, no. Their launch computers were shut down every time they attempted it from space. It's not something you tell people when you want them to be baby boomers and rebuild a damaged world after World War II. It's not something you tell people who you want to be confident in your military and your government, because it would make people very nervous when they realize that beings from out there in our galaxy are far, far more advanced than we are. Human and other races, way more. And we're going to have to fit into that. We can't force all of our junk and garbage and belief systems on them. because they already know how to work with that omnipresent power. That black area in space, which is the white golden light we see when we're out of our bodies, they know how to work with it. It is not atomic or nuclear in nature, it's energy, but not energy that's known on Earth. People on Earth that are very advanced scientists call it zero-point or toroidal energy, the energy of the universe. They used to call it dark matter, but they know it's not dark, and they know it's one power. And little galaxies are floating in this other thing. More advanced races know how to work with it. People pray to it and call it divine spirit because it's a living energy throughout the whole multidimensional creation. It is not a single individual being. So this is something that people on Earth will find out because everybody on Earth at one time knew it long ago. So I will send out the hue. Satnam and others in Trellian will be doing it with me. We'll be creating a vortex between the physical universe and to the void and beyond. We won't be going up that vortex on this journey. We're going to a mile-long Galactic Alliance ship called the Emerald Star Cruiser, which is stationed in the ice rings that make up the rings that surround the planet Saturn in our solar system. They are made of frozen water, by the way. Scientists on Earth know this. About 1.5 miles thick, not very thick. And so that ship is stationed there permanently. It is to protect us from ourselves and also to keep any possibility of negative aliens from coming back here. That's already done. That's permanent. So disclosure isn't just about telling people extraterrestrials exist. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't keep classified people from lying to everyone or people from being dishonest. So disclosure that is now made mandatory from off-world must take place in a certain time frame, or it will be done for them without government involvement here. The stakes are too high. If they let people do their own thing on this planet, they will destroy life here. It is certain. It's not guesswork. Global warming alone would do that without nuclear war. So a lot has to change here. The technology is here. The ability to change this planet is easy for some races, some beings. But we have to invite them in. They're not going to force their way. Does that make sense to you?
Very much.
I wish people could pray to a God that they knew personally, but most people that do that are terrified of the Supreme Being, what they call the Supreme Being. They don't really want to confront it because they don't think they're worthy or they really don't have the intelligence. They think of themselves as a body that's going to ascend somewhere. And they have this thing called soul, but they don't know what it is or where it is or what it looks like. That's not right. They should know. They once did. So this journey is part of recovering that for you, Sue.
Thank you.
That's just part of it. You had the courage to do it. You know, you stepped up to bat. Most people aren't doing that. They probably think this work is some kind of entertainment. It isn't. It's entertaining, but that's not why it's being done. So with your eyes closed, when you close your eyes, you're shutting off any input from Earth's negative atmosphere and all the stuff that's recorded in the water vapor and in the oceans. It's all there. Everything people have done to each other and to animals and to plants, to the whole environment, is recorded in the water of this planet. It does not go outside the atmosphere of Earth. It does not get sent into that omnipresent field of energy that surrounds galaxies. That goes up through all the multidimensional universe. Does not go there. You can't store the negative things in it. It is not positive and negative. It is energy behind all that. So this is who and what we're made of as individuals. And it's into that omnipresent living force that we plug ourselves into when we go on these journeys. Shantiel and Tonaltiel, you've heard them described before, about 6 feet tall. They're Galactic Alliance personnel, but don't think of them as extraterrestrial alien humans. They are master teachers as well. Many hundreds of years old, and yet they look to be about 36. People do not age on other worlds like they do on Earth. They have four-stranded DNA. The telomeres at the end of their DNA do not shrink when cells divide. This is a switch called a genome on the DNA. This has been messed with for all of people on Earth and genetically passed on, so that you live till you're 100 or whatever, and then the body does this, and then you leave it. That's just a program. That's just a switch. It's actually precise sound frequencies that alter those switches. That technology is ancient, but it is not yet on Earth, not for the public. Same with cancer or anything else, easily eliminated. Cures for cancer have been around on this planet for decades and suppressed. It would affect too many people in work, medicine, pharmaceuticals, and other things, so governments get behind them and simply suppress cures. Cures don't make money. Cures don't make money. You see, if they did that, lots of people would be out of work, and then governments go, oh, we can't do that. So this is the nature of truth. And once you're exposed to it, it's awakened you. You cannot forget it. What those hues are doing is creating a doorway, and I'm not doing it alone by any means, between the physical universe outside of Earth's atmosphere and Source itself. That's many dimensions above what you'd call Satnam's realm. That's on the top end of what we call the void, the other side of it, higher up. So the void is not the realm of the Supreme Being. It is a pure energy field of the hue with basically nothing in it. It's a barrier between the upper realities and the lower worlds, because in the upper realities, there is no negative nature whatsoever. And this is who and what we are, which means we don't have a negative nature in the Atma that we are. The spherical being we are has no negative nature. That's all programmed into these negative things in the field of energy that surrounds the outside of the Atma, what we call an electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field that surrounds planet Earth looks identical to the one that surrounds each person, each being. It looks identical to the electromagnetic field that surrounds the human body, people call the aura. It's not a thin layer of colors near the surface. It's the same. The same kind of field surrounds an entire galaxy. And they're all designed to keep things floating in this other energy that is not physical matter, but supports it. So this tunnel is created. Chantiel and Tonaltiel are standing behind you, simply there manifesting a form, well-dressed, Galactic Alliance uniform on. They're from the Emerald Star Cruiser. That's where they're stationed. Dantium and Lamtium, their co-workers, are stationed there as well, and many others. And many more are stationed around the galaxy that are currently involved in beginning to work with people on Earth when they're out of their bodies at night. Because you cannot confront someone implanted with a primary implant directly, face to face. They'll react negatively because that's what it's designed to do, to keep them from knowing, remembering. So they keep you don't have secondary implants, but they keep your primary implant turned off. And anything else in the subconscious mind that would prevent you from gaining benefit from this journey. They just keep it off. Easy for them. Piece of cake. They're not going to wave a magic wand and make you God realized and set you free, because it could destroy your physical body if it's not prepared. You have to be ready for such things like that. And ready to keep it, most importantly. If it's given to you, they would only do that if they knew you would keep it. They know first that these subconscious knots of fear and terror must go. So, when you daydream going to the store, going to therapy, or taking therapy at your home, or wherever you do, you have to visualize it first before your body will get up and go anywhere or do anything. People do not realize that when they imagine something, they're not making it up in their brain. They're not making it up there at all. The brain can't imagine anything. It's not designed to do that. That's not what it's for. The being running the body unconsciously sees what it wants to see and where it wants to go, and then the body gets up and follows. So naturally, if we are able to see other planets, other dimensions, especially the higher worlds, and we have at least a foothold of seeing what some of the basic things are like, what they look like, then we can go there on our own. Because the omnipresent power works without bias and without prejudice. It's a living force. It is the power that manifests whatever we choose to imagine and see. If we want to bring something more beneficial into creation that has not existed before, we focus in the primary omnipresent you. And if it's done right, then it manifests whatever we see. It is the manifesting power, not us, not as individuals. That power is omnipresent and unlimited, therefore it can manifest anything. That's why we need boots on the ground. It's practical. So when you picture yourself hovering near the ceiling above your body, you're simply daydreaming it. Everybody knows how to do that. And you're floating there as a spherical being. You can see exactly what you really look like on the front cover of the Emerald Doorway book. For the first time on this planet, in originally created art for the cover that shows us what we really are. And it's not a human body. That was not made. The human body was not made in the image of a supreme being, like people are taught. This is not true. Bodies are not our genetic machines we run. Highly developed, and that was the responsibility of the Say-Rays. Ambassador Trillian is Say-Rays. So this couple is floating to each side of you, and in front of you, all three of you are projecting a body form that looks to be, for your case, a perfectly beautiful 36-year-old woman, made of energy with, you might even see a nice dress on, or however you want to see it. And so you're projecting this form from the spherical atma. This is the way we see each other in a pure way, telepathically. We all know how to do this. It's not something you need to learn. But when Chantiel and Tonaltiel keep your primary implant turned off, you're able to do this. because you don't have anything blocking it. Higher faculties do not mix with negative emotions, doubt, fear, speculation, faith, belief, or anything. Faith and belief have opposites, doubt and fear. So we want to go beyond those things into the pure source energy. The hue comes from the first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight on earth. It's a vibration. When we sing it out vocally or just imagine it silently, it opens a doorway through the pineal gland in the center of the human brain. When we close our eyes, then another vision opens up. It is the omnipresent 360-degree vision of the spherical being, the Atma, and it is not limited except by the concepts and doubts and fears it's been brainwashed to believe, which keeps it from accessing higher faculties it normally should be able to use. So, this Shantiel and Tonaltiel are very kind. They're simply guides for you to stand to each side of you as we go on this journey. When you find yourself in the atmosphere at, say, 10,000 meters, looking down through your house, they're still standing beside you. You're still projecting this perfect 36-year-old form. And they're still about 36-ish, but you know they have physical bodies on that ship that are many hundreds of years old that have not aged like people on Earth. This is normal for them. It should be normal for us. We come from them. You had lives in the Galactic Alliance long before you were born on this planet. You've been around for billions of years and billions of lives, and this has all been something that you've been made to forget one way or another. So these journeys give back a practical ability of a person to see some places and locations, guided experiences, so you can remember how to imagine and see places that are not limited to the atmosphere of this planet, just to the things you were taught in school and what you grew up with. If we were on a normal planet, you would be imagining many other worlds and many other realities, and you'd be working with them daily, interacting. And that's how normal people grow up. Those governments on those planets are not like Earth. They don't use money, it's outlawed, in the sense that they wouldn't create it because nobody is motivated by it. Now this is normal. So Earth has some changing to do. And for now, we use it because you can't buy a lunch somewhere without it. So the Earth is not normal. It's never been fully normal yet, but it is destined to be that way. So in the atmosphere, you can see Shantiel and Tonaltiel point upward. I'm standing there behind you two. I'm just right there. Pari's there, and we're suddenly in space, standing in a circle of a few beings around Turellian. Turellian, for whatever reason, still amazes me that he volunteers to do this work. He does not step foot on planet Earth. People are not ready for that. He's 18 feet tall in the image he shows us. The Sayrays were 18 to 25 feet tall compared to an Earth person. They weren't even from this galaxy. Billions of years ago, they seeded human and humanoid life and brought them up to spacefaring capability. The body forms I'm talking about. They were genetic scientists. And then they got them to a point where they could leave for a while and see what we did with it. Everybody knows what we did with it. We got ourselves trapped by it. And it's only recently that such beings have decided to come back into making their presence known to help take care of the younger races, because something changed in them. Something changed in the upper worlds beyond the void, or it would not be changing here. Turellian's standing there with his two thumbs up with a golden ball of light around each one, his closed fists. It's a little brighter form of the hue than the hue that's in space around us, because out here in space, you can see Earth with its polar ice caps right behind us in the distance, and the barren moon with its meteor craters orbiting the planet but never turning on its axis as it should. That's got to be fixed. It's broken. The sun, all the stars, blue and red and yellow and white, glowing out in space. And then you see this white golden light everywhere that appears to human eyes on Earth to be black in space pictures of other galaxies. It's not. Human eyes on Earth don't have a high enough capability to see into the frequency. There is no limit to the speed of light whatsoever. That was unfortunately measured by people with human eyes in Earth's atmosphere, which is where it should not have been done. And so people have limited themselves to thinking that people from other worlds can't come here, it's too far away. It takes billions of years for light from another galaxy to reach us. This is not true. It's continuous and constant. Those lights don't just go out, they're always on. The link and communication between worlds through the omnipresent power that surrounds galaxies is not limited by the laws of physics. Communication and travel is instant, as atoms were made of the same thing. So ships that can travel across space, hundreds of thousands of light years, go between galaxies. They know how to traverse in that field of energy that is not made of matter, or they would not be able to do it. This is the science that's pretty much missing from Earth. Even reverse engineered spacecraft in a classified community are not permitted to go beyond the stars. They're not permitted to go outside of our solar system. Because Earth people are nuts. They're quite crazy and they don't realize it. They can't bring their belief systems and all of their prejudices and biases and fears out among the stars. Because those races already own those worlds. And we have no right to go there and claim them as our own. And we're never going to be given that right, by the way. So for Earth people to become spacefaring, they've got to join a large, very large organization of worlds in order to do that, or they will be corralled, quarantined within this solar system. Those people are not going to allow us lunatics on Earth to go out there the way we are. We have to change first. Then we can play among the stars in physical bodies, get on ships and all that kind of thing. In the meantime, we don't have the limits of a spaceship. We are traveling via the Atma, out of body. Since my voice is involved in this, it's telepathic, and other beings are working with me in this way. This is possible for you. We suspend those fears. Above Turelian is Eta and Din. They're Drens, you know who they are. They're master teachers, but they are not human. People on Earth have a lot to learn. They're a very ancient race. They evolve with the ability to levitate and fly through the air when their tail glows. They are silica-based creatures. The Say race have their DNA in them too. They evolved on planet Oceania, where Master Opellum comes from, who's standing to my right, opposite the Earth. And you're to my left, and Chantil and Tontil are standing beside you, and Pari's further over, and Dantiam and Lamtiam are standing beside her, just for her benefit. And then around the circle is a master teacher named Yon Tall, long blonde hair. He's 3.5 million years old. In other words, he has a physical body somewhere in the physical universe. But he works in the higher realities above the void, primarily. Light C, this Chinese master, is up above him. And he's a little frail, 5'5" or 5'4" Chinese guy with a maroon robe and little esoteric symbols, a little funny hat, a little Fu Manchu type beard. Crystal blue eyes, not like an Asian. And he works in the etheric plane, just below the void, and in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, just above Satnam's realm. And he is a very advanced master teacher. There aren't scout ships here like there are when we do a secondary implant removal. That's for the benefit of people not to be taken too far too fast. When we're doing this, we are beings surrounding Turelian like in a circle. The white golden light of the hue surrounds us, and it hums like a deep, soft rumbling almost No lightning, like thunder, but a humming. And it surrounds us because it makes a sound. The hue on each dimensional level makes a different tone. In the astral plane, it's universally like the sound of a crashing wave on a beach, continuous and smooth. The causal plane, the next one up, that people have been made to forget all about. It's like running water down a brook. In the mental plane, it's more like high crystal bells, or up in the etheric, it's like the humming of bagpipes with a gentle hum to it. It doesn't sound like bagpipes, it's just similar. And so when we get into the void, the hue cannot be described in human terms, what it sounds like. When we go up into higher planes, it becomes more refined until we get to the source itself. And that's way beyond the ability to describe it to humans on Earth. So we have to go there as the Atma. We're in space for a reason. Master Ramu is towards the Earth in a circle where he usually stands with his maroon robe, his crystal staff made of quartz, Egyptian ankh for eternal life on top of it, which they didn't originate in Egypt, by the way. It's his trademark. He looks to be about 36, rugged skin, dark brown skin, coal black eyes, short cropped curly black beard and hair, about 6 feet, strong. But he looks Tibetan, but he's not. And up above all these people standing in space is Satnam. As I refer to him as Master Satnam, he's really the Purusha, or governor of an entire dimension, above the void. Because there is no negative nature, never has been. The beings there are not motivated to change the way the lower worlds of time and space run, particularly regarding the failed experiment of good and evil. They weren't motivated until recently to change this, after 200 billion years. So that old system's got to be retired and replaced with what is called the hue expansion ray. It is a changed consciousness in the being of the upper worlds that's moving through the omnipresent energy through all creation from one being named Agam Purusha. And that being resides in a plane of raw power many dimensions above the hue expansion ray academy. So you could say his presence is in all omnipresent energy out in space. Turelian is pointing out between the Earth and the Moon out in space. This energy around his thumbs and his fist is simply a higher form of the hue. And if you look above Satnam, there's an hourglass-shaped vortex, white golden light spinning clockwise, and a blue-green luminous like water luminosity revolving around it. And up at the other end of it, even from space as an Atma, you can see that there is a pale blue infinite atmosphere at the other end. That's a very high form of the hue. That's the void. This energy is being brought down through Satnam from above the lower worlds, down through Turelian, out his fists, and then it's creating a kind of an oval, transparent, golden sphere of light that surrounds all of us. There are a number of other master teachers in that circle I have not described. You may see some of them. It's perfectly normal, perfectly okay. And we find ourselves like in the hull of a spaceship of light, darting instantly between the Earth and the Moon until we stop hovering above what we call the ice rings of the planet Saturn. And in the upper edge of this is a mile-long cylindrical ship with an anti-gravitic blue pale light around its hull. Oval, horizontal view windows or lounge portals going down the central section of the hull of the ship. And in the front, a curved command window. There's an identical bridge control on the other end of the ship. It's designed to go through interdimensional doorways to cover vast areas of space instantly. There are no open launch bay doors on such a ship these days. Craft like the scout ships, 30 feet in diameter, you can see one entering the central section of the hull. It raises the molecular time rate around the craft with the electromagnetic field around the craft, and it becomes part of a parallel dimension. So as a molecular craft, it can pass right through the middle of the hull. And you see it open up, and you can see a hangar bay down the bottom of the middle of the ship. It goes in and lands, and then the hull turns solid. So that's how they exit and enter their craft. And you can see this, all of us can see it. And then we find us as a group of beings hovering near the central section of the hull of this mile-long ship, the Emerald Star Cruiser. There are ones 10 miles long, so this is a tenth the size of the bigger vehicles. You've got to remember that such beings have been around for many hundreds of millions of years, evolving without polar shifts, without problems like people on Earth have had. They no longer follow this law like you'd find in Star Trek of non-interference in other worlds. That's just a form of cowardice, really, to keep from having to get involved. The more advanced master teachers do get involved, especially now that they have a way to do that. So you find yourself suddenly on a lounge looking down at your bare feet. It's a plush blue carpet and it's luminous. It's actually got a little glow to it. And you can feel this energy come up your legs. Remember, this body is 36, the one you have there. And you can feel it soothing and cooling coming up your legs. Goes right up the top of your head. You look up smiling, goes right into the white core of your being. That's you too, looking down on this form you're projecting. Behind you is Terrellian, 18 feet tall, standing in a 60-foot high chamber that goes down the length of the ship. You can see these horizontal, oval, convexly outward curved view windows, and you can see the many moons of Saturn. You can see the ice rings. You can see we're down below the upper surface of these ice rings. And there are people sitting behind oval blue glass top tables in egg-shaped white chairs with blue cushions, circular. And you're looking at a couple sitting behind the table with their eyes closed and their heads to their chin, male and female. And then you realize they look just like Chantil and Tonatiuh standing beside you. And they open their eyes, and Chantil and Tonatiuh standing beside you disappear, because they're now getting their bodies up, and you can see the spherical atma hovering above the bodies as the bodies are got up out of the seats. So they come over and stand beside you in their physical form, and yes, they can see this perfect 36-year-old female body you're projecting. Of course they can see it. These guys have 4-stranded DNA and different, wider perspective of visual sight than people on Earth, plus their conscious atmas. There are several hundred of the ship's personnel standing around. Most of them are human or humanoid with different size ears, different colored eyes, different colored hair. They're all wearing Galactic Alliance uniforms. A blue-gray fabric, single piece they slip their feet into, it slips over their whole body, including the footwear. It has a Galactic Alliance symbol on the right chest, which is a silver galaxy, golden silver galaxy, with a 4-sided, golden-sided pyramid above the bulge of the nucleus of that galaxy, quartz crown on the top, and 3 blue stars in triangular formation, cobalt blue. That's been around for 500,000 years. Something you once knew well. You can look down through the floor because you're an Atma. In the bottom middle of this ship, it's just to the right of the big long hangar bay, is a spherical chamber. And in the spherical chamber is one of these 15-foot high golden-sided pyramids with a quartz crown. It's transparent. You can see a statue of Satnam in the middle of it, 15 feet in diameter. Standing there with his hands open, palms out, at his side, there's a white golden light coming down into it, and it's pulsing out his hands. through the walls of the ship and heading out into space. These types of devices started to appear upon Galactic Alliance cruisers like this some time ago. They are not made of material matter. The Galactic Alliance did not build them or put them there. This was some of what was needed to begin this process of changing Earth in an unexpected new way. So all the people on the ship have the benefit of this kind of energy coming from above the void. You have the benefit of that because of Torellian and others that are on this journey with us. You can see above the hangar bay another spherical chamber, much larger. And in it you can see there's a golden quartz floor dividing two halves of a sphere, glowing. It's transparent. And on the walls of the inside of this sphere are these foot-long, coming to a point, faceted quartz crystals covering the entire surface below and above the floor, pointing to what's called a dodecahedron chamber in the middle of the floor. Dodecahedron is roundish with kind of eight-sided, or what all these window side looks like it has windows. And there's a leather-like white chair in the middle of it. The couple standing beside you now are escorting you through a triangular, pyramid-shaped, triangular hallway that's got golden luminous light coming from the walls. And you're passing through about 15 feet. They're walking you through. You are actually floating above the floor. And they're walking because they have physical bodies here. And when you get on the other side, you see Torellian standing off to the left, 18 feet tall in this very tall chamber. There's a semicircular control console with faceted crystal luminous controls around it near this dodecahedron chamber. A young man and woman, look to be about 27, 28, turn and smile at you. These are technicians who will be operating this control console. Torellian is asking you if you wish to go inside and go through the primary implant review. Of course, we already know your answer. So they're escorting you to a staircase to the left of this dodecahedron chamber. It's made of quartz, it's clear, and you're going down it. It spirals back up behind this white leather chair. And a moment later, you appear coming up out of it with Chantil and Tonfield beside you. You can see me standing beside Torellian out in the chamber. And then I appear off to the right side of Chantil, just to be present there. And they have you sit down in this white leather-like chair, and it forms around your energy body. It's actually made of energy. So it's very comfortable and uplifting. And they're asking you, these technicians, Torellian is actually asking you, show us your most terrifying experience that has kept you from remembering who you are, that puts you on Earth with no memory. And this device turns on as they pass their hands, this man and woman, over a blue domed crystal and a green one. And these crystals on the ceiling all around and below this transparent floor turn on, glowing with a pale golden light, focused in a halo of gentle light around your body. And you begin to see these windows change into holographic projections, like a view screen, all around you. You hear the sound of a high humming, single note of a flute. That's coming from the worlds above the void. And from the pyramid down below this chamber. And so you begin to see images form on the screens of another life long ago. A life far more advanced than the one you have on Earth now. Had no war, no negative nature. And so a prized lifetime to try to suppress, because a lot of your higher faculties and intelligence tied up in that great life. We want to look and find out what it is. Because then you're going to bring back the awareness of this to your life on Earth. And it does change things. You can start to speak as soon as you start to see images form. If you have the courage to do it, remember this, you are safe. What was done to you that you're going to see on these screens cannot be done to you again. It isn't even in our solar system. Nothing like that can ever happen to you again or anybody on Earth. The subconscious misuse of science is what needs to be neutralized so that people can get free of having subconscious influences that steer them away from remembering who they are. The basic program in a primary implant is we'll kill you and eat you alive again if you remember. That threat is no longer real. Something you need to know. You're protected. Your body's back on Earth, safe and sound and protected. You, as a physical form that looks like you, perfectly beautiful, is sitting in that chair aboard the Emerald Star Cruiser.
I feel like I'm surrounded like a rocky area with different color of rock.
Yep.
High up somewhere.
It's up on a mountainside or up in a higher plateau.
The rock is have a different color.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a rainbow color.
Yeah. Any water around there, or trees, or anything else? You can see it. You can describe it. Just let it happen. It's not hard. It doesn't take any effort for you.
On my far right, seems like I see a lake.
Good. Can you describe the color of the water?
It's almost like a pale blue.
Okay. Should be slightly glowing a foot above the water itself. Because on normal planets,
It's kind of white. It's almost like a white color on the top of the lake.
yeah, that's because it's charged with the hue. H2O can store or be bound with the hue, and Earth's water systems are depleted mostly. On normal worlds, the oceans and lakes and rivers and waterfalls glow because H2O is a very special molecule. So you're seeing this on another planet. If you look in the sky of this world, what color is the sky?
The color is more of like a really bluish.
Okay. Any mountains around or in the distance? Any sea or ocean or just the lake high up, say way up in the rocky area?
And on the beyond the lake, I can see the tree, almost like a palm tree.
Yeah. And then you're standing there. Are you alone?
I still feel like I still standing on the kind of cliff or high up somewhere, looking down towards the lake. As I ascend down towards the lake, I imagine I'm by myself.
Yeah, that's correct. So this world is not Earth. It's not an Earth's past either. It's out among the stars. And can you see what you look like? You're an Atma hovering above that body form in that lifetime, even then. So you can look at yourself and see what you look like.
Seems like I'm a female body with a long hair.
Yeah.
Have a long gown.
Mm-hmm.
And the gown is almost like a baby blue color, or almost more light white color than blue, but kind of towards the blue tint. Yes.
You see any symbol on the right chest area on that gown? Or is it just a dress, like a gown, like an outfit? Doesn't matter. It could have been in casual clothing on this trip, whatever this trip is.
I still see my gown have a long sleeve, but I don't see any symbol.
Okay. Would you say that this is a gown because you've worn it in particular to be walking alone on this planet for some reason, something that you create here, that you go here to do?
I think I have curiosity of want to look for something towards where I'm heading.
Where's your skin color like?
My skin is kind of off-white.
Kind of like a moonstone, like ivory?
It's
Smooth?
more like that.
Mm-hmm. How tall are you?
I say I'm quite tall, maybe at least 6-7 foot tall, at least.
A little taller than that. You longer neck, longer fingers, longer legs. And when you walk, you watch yourself move like a swan. Very elegant, very stately. What color eyes?
My eyes is almost like between, I'm not sure, is it gold or pink?
More like pink.
Yes, that's the first impression I got.
Here in this chair, your first impression is the right one. Remember, this is being transmitted back to your body on Earth, which is asleep. So it's the Atma that's having the experience. Remember, these journeys are telepathically conscious so that you can be out of body and remember. That's how they're set up.
And my ear is kind of a point towards my temple, kind of.
Bigger than Earth human ears?
Bigger, yes.
Pointed?
Pointed, yes.
So you're human or humanoid of a type of a race. Do you get a sense of that you are some kind of a scientist? Because all Galactic Alliance personnel are trained in many fields. You'll have a sense about your curiosity. Why are you there? What are you looking for?
I probably interest in the stone or around that mountain area.
So if you pick up a piece of that rainbow colored stone in your hand, what does it do?
I think I want to take it for more research.
What's it doing in your hand though? Almost like it's alive. This is not Earth.
It's like it's moving around.
Mm-hmm. So this, whatever it is a piece of a greater consciousness. Very interesting planet. It has different kind of life, and you're studying it. How did you get on this planet?
I probably get off the spaceship or something, because the first thing I know, I landed on the Rainbow Mountain.
But up the hill, you walk down to the lake. But up there's a flat area like a cliff, and there's a ship, a scout ship parked there. You piloted it here by yourself. That's easy stuff. Now, when you look at the sky beyond, and during the daylight, you see more than one sun. How many are there in the sky at different levels? You can see them. There's a big yellow one like our sun, but much bigger than what we have on Earth.
I see more than 3.
It could be a quadruple system. There are a few of those that have 4 suns moving around each other. And then this planet moves around them. It has several moons the size of Earth. You can see in daylight. They do not have polar ice caps. They have oceans, different colors on each planet. Glowing, you can see. Normal worlds are charged with the hue. They have a glow to them. You know there's life on those planets. This world system and its moons does not have human life. So you visit this to study the life that's there, right?
Yes.
That means you were a scientist, as most people on Earth were in the Galactic Alliance, living on other worlds long before they ever got trapped and put in a body on Earth. Now that represents not only lives lived thousands of years sometimes, but lives that have different DNA structure, more advanced than humans on Earth. You would have known how to fly spaceships, you would have known how to do many sciences. By the time you're 10 on these worlds, you have the equivalent of 10 PhDs to a person on Earth. When you're 10, because normal people on other worlds have photographic memories. They don't age like people on Earth. They don't overpopulate their planets. You know this. Earth has almost 8 billion. It should have no more than 500 million. This is a problem that will be solved, but not by people on Earth. So you know all this. You're walking towards this lake. You've got this piece of living rock in your hand, and you're communicating with it. It's speaking to you telepathically, because all living forms, and you realize there are a number of atmas hovering above that rock, and they have chosen to run this type of creature. It has very special capabilities. This rock, this rainbow-colored rock, can transmit into your body any deficiency it has. The rock can duplicate any form of molecule. And if it detects something missing in your body, it fixes it. So it's a very friendly creature. What you're sharing with it is how to form itself into a human-like form. So you place the rock back into that rock side of the hill, and then it just forms into a human, rainbow-colored skin. It has eyes that are blue with violet exteriors. And it looks like a man and a woman standing there, atmos hovering above them. And you're helping to give them the ability to build and maintain ships and work with fingers and hands, but it's not their true form. These beings are connected to each other. So they have like a big being form and then individual forms, kind of like we do in the source. Now, go back a little bit and review how you came to be on this planet. There's a ship. You came out of it, you walked down, you went towards the lake, you picked up the rock. Now, this would be a planet where normally it's kind of out of the way. It's part of the Galactic Alliance, but it's like a scientific world system for exploring and advancing. Your motivation, your passion, is to advance science for the good of all life on more than 450 million world systems. That's how you grew up. Very benevolent, very high IQ. You can't even measure it in terms of Earth people. You're a particular type of race. It's called Zarwans with a Z. That's how it sounds, Zarwans. The rock species is a morphosite or morphocidal. Morphocidal, it's called, is the type of being it is. So over millions of years, it evolved with a consciousness. It is a genetic silica-based creature like the Drens. But it's not like the Drens. And you're walking over towards a small group of trees by the lake. And this couple, after you've helped them form, go back into being rocks, part of the landscape. And so you're going to walk over to these trees and sit down in a circle of these palm type trees. They're glowing because you can see the water and the sap is glowing. The lake is glowing, and you sit down on some violet grass. And then you hear a noise behind you. Describe what you turn around and see.
I saw almost like a humanoid big creature.
Yeah. Probably pretty scary.
With almost with almost have a electric, I mean, through the skin, kind of bluish ray coming out from that body.
Actually, whatever that is shooting you with a weapon. Not killing you. Surrounding you in an energy field that is red. So that you cannot move. And then they approach you, smiling. There's more than one. And then you begin to see what they look like. What did they look like?
It is almost like a kind of monkey type like that. I'm not.
This is hard for you to see because you don't want to see it. Remember, you are safe, but surrounded by masterful beings in a Galactic Alliance ship, looking at the view screen to see what was in your subconscious mind about this suppressed lifetime. You are safe. And there is an Atma hovering above you, this body, sitting on that grass. That's the real you. So you look around as the Atma and you describe now what you see approaching you. Remember, you're safe. You cannot be harmed. Very difficult thing to see sometimes for people because they don't want to admit that it actually happened to them. Happened to me, happened to Pari, happened to all of us. You're not alone. You can do it.
It's almost like a creature of a Star Wars type like that. That's
Kind of like a Klingon or kind of like a reptilian, perhaps. Snout, big teeth, double rows of teeth, violet eyes with like a cat with red pupils, a tail, strong, 9 feet tall, scaly skin, very nasty looking creatures. Spacefaring race. So what are they doing?
They,
Approaching you, yes.
yes,
They're not killing you at this point. They're going to take you off this planet so they can do what they want to do without anybody seeing it happen, see? They're cowards. They were programmed from birth on their worlds by more vicious secret police and emperors than you can even imagine. So they behave this way because they were altered to behave this way in galactic history. They lost a war 500,000 years ago. They weren't killed. They weren't. Galactic Alliance didn't destroy their planets. They just struck up a treaty and then watched them because they sneak around. And they were sneaking around on Earth for a while. They're no longer here on Earth. How many of them are there?
three,
Yeah. One's a little taller than the others. They have long retractable claws. They have 5 fingers, and a thumb. Like humanoid, but these are reptilian. They also have Sayre's DNA because at one time they were vegetarian. One time they were part of the Galactic Alliance. Some still are, but not this group back then. Now, before you go further, how long ago in Galactic Alliance history was this lifetime? It will just come to you.
5,000.
There you go. Not too long ago, but still a significant period of time. So you were living in life, and how old were you in terms of physical Earth years in that body?
10,000.
It's a very long lifetime. You had many lives that long. We've been around forever. You did not originate in the lower worlds of time and space. None of us did. We have never been a body like the one you're running in this experience. So what do? They surround you, leer at you. They know you can't move, and they beam you aboard their ship, don't they? And that ship disappears very quickly from that planet. They don't want to be caught by the Galactic Alliance. It's revenge, is what it really is. You're innocent of doing anything wrong. You did not experience negative things in that lifetime. In 10,000 years, you had no threats. So now, describe where you are aboard that ship. Where do you find yourself as hovering above the planet Earth 10,000 years ago? You sneaky little buggers. So what do they do to you? Are you free? Are you standing around with them around you? Are you chained to a wall? Are you restrained in any way?
Like they put me uh, tied to the big tree, or
So are you on Earth now, 10,000 years ago?
I'm in the middle of the somewhere almost like a jungle or lots of tree or big field, but I was tied
To a
in the
tree.
one of the tree. Yes.
And these three are still there, approaching you. So what are they trying to do? You can see the Atma you are hovering above that body. And you know you're about to have that body killed, but you aren't the body. They can't affect an Atma. They can't program an Atma. They can't put anything in the different teardrop levels of an Atma because it's not made of material, energy, space, and time. It's not part of the lower worlds. But there's an electromagnetic field around it, which you see as a red glow. And what they're doing is putting something in that field that basically says, if you remember what we do to you here, we'll kill you and eat you alive. It's like a program. It's a negative subconscious thing. So when you look out in the universe into the field of energy that surrounds you, you're terrified to really remember how to see, how to travel around the universe while your body's alive. It's quite a little trap. So they're approaching you strapped to this tree. Now what do?
They cut they butcher me from my head down to my body.
Yeah, that's right. And then probably eat something in front of you to terrorize you. This is just a physical body that's being destroyed. And while you're dying, they would eat something in front of you to impress this terror upon you. What are they doing?
They
Yeah. It's hard to say.
they
Go ahead.
they take something out my body from my brain, my inside, and they just devour it.
Yeah. And you're dead, basically. Your body's dead. And they're going to disintegrate her to get rid of it. But then you find yourself somewhere else on Earth, in another body, wondering how you got there. Where are you? Describe the surroundings.
Seems like I'm in a flower field.
Okay. Mountainous, beautiful field, summertime, spring maybe, something like that.
Yes, yes.
And how old are you?
I'm probably in my 10, 12.
Okay. Are you male or female?
Female.
And do you have any other family or people around you?
I'm by myself.
And you're probably wondering, because you don't remember, how you got to be in that body because you don't recognize it. Quite confusing. If they can put you in an earth body 10,000 years ago and compel you to reincarnate with no memory, kind of a political trap, isn't it? It's not a trap for you anymore because this now is a memory. And you had a very advanced life. You were a Galactic Alliance citizen even then, and many lives on many worlds. This one was 10,000 years long. You knew a lot of stuff about a lot of things people on Earth can't even comprehend yet. This belongs to you. This is a primary implant review. Sue?
Yes.
This is how this works. It's not a threat to you now. It can never be done to you again. The Hue expansion ray that comes down through Satnam, through Trillian, and through the Galactic Alliance is setting it up so that you're going one way, onward and upward, back home. The long distance journeys that I guide with friends from out of town, from other worlds, go above the void. Deliberately go above the void. So you started reincarnating. You lived. Do you remember how long you lived in that life? You could run it forward and see the end of your life as that 10 or 12-year-old little girl. Naturally, you got used to not knowing how you got there and adjusted. The former occupant of that body was kicked out. It's through the misuse of science.
8,000 or 800
You lived a long time in that body. Is that what you're saying? On Earth?
on Earth.
How long did you live in that life before you passed away? It'll just come to you. Yeah.
50.
Okay. And then you ended up in another life. And over 10,000 years, you actually lived in other worlds between some of those lives, but you don't remember that because the primary implant was carried forward with you. Remember the Great War that happened 500,000 years ago. So 10,000 years is a long time after these beings were defeated. They're cowards. They sneak around. They used to. They don't anymore. They're being changed on their home worlds as we speak. They are not on Earth or in our solar system anymore. Little Greys, a certain faction of them they used to command, are no longer here either. No one's being abducted. None of that is going on. Changes are underway now in the universe that you are being exposed to that do involve Earth, and they cannot be reversed, fortunately for us. It's a good thing to just be respectful of the beings that go with you on these journeys voluntarily. They are not from Earth. They didn't grow up on Earth. They cannot be manipulated or controlled by anybody on Earth, period. This is not what they do. In the lifetime you just reviewed, you had the same kind of consciousness. Things that motivated you were not about money or politics or anything like that. You knew the omnipresent living power from birth. This was common knowledge to you. So when you find yourself back on Earth hovering above that body, Shantiel and Tonatiel are still standing beside you. They're guides. They know what they're doing. There's a white golden light coming down through the ceiling, which actually comes all the way from above the void, through Satnam, through Turelian, and through you. It goes out through the field of energy around your body, what we call the aura. And it's just keeping that energy field clear. Secondary implants are not in that. That surrounded the Atma. Remember that? They're gone. Primary implant is a pyramid shape on top of the Atma and one pointing downward below it. That's part of the subconscious mind that should not be there. So now, with this information, when you feel fear of the present and future, you will have awareness of this lifetime, which is the cause of that fear, but it's conscious. So that you have a choice now to turn away from it, send the hue into it, shut it off, or go look at a hummingbird, look at the ocean, look at something beautiful. Do not indulge in the habit of being fixated on this death, because that's what's been going on this whole time. Compulsively looking at something you can't make conscious, which doesn't allow you to choose differently. Now you can. And you will have a higher intelligence and consciousness to choose better, because you know what is in that primary implant. It cannot be hidden from you. Now it's a conscious memory. It can't subconsciously influence you any longer. There will come a time when subconscious minds will be neutralized for all people on Earth and for beings in the lower dimensions of time and space, because they're being done away with. That old subconscious good and evil nonsense, it's kept the entire creation stuck, stilted, for hundreds of billions of years, and it's time for a change. So, this energy comes through you, flows out through you to the world, gets connected to 3 pyramids on Earth that are stationed there now, not made of matter, with a Satnam pyramid fountain in each one, 2 at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, 1 in a hollowed-out interior in the Himalayas, and then it goes out to space. Goes to a big pyramid hovering between 2 stable asteroids, in the middle of the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of what was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. Classified scientists and classified people on Earth know it's there. They can't do anything with it. They can't harm it. Weapons don't work. It is turned on. That energy that's moving through you, through these pyramids, goes through that pyramid and then goes to the center of the galaxy and right up the axis, the core, which is a white golden light, not a black hole. It returns to source. So this movement is one way. And as it moves through you, you start to become a conscious, trustworthy co-creator with the source behind all life, which is the reason why we exist. That is also suppressed in the subconscious in people, particularly on Earth. The Galactic Alliance personnel only fairly recently started going on these journeys above the void. As paradisical, as evolved as they are, they too had forgotten how to do that. When Sayre's ambassador Trillian appeared before the Galactic Alliance Council on Zetranami 1, things changed. It had changed for the Sayres first, which is why they came back out of their wherever they were for all this time. I first met Ambassador Trillian at that council meeting on Zetranami 1. I was there. I had to be, or I could not have written about it. So what they're underway doing now has never been taken on before, not in this way. Earth just happens to be in the middle of a flow of a new energy in the omnipresent power passing through our solar system and planets. It's changing. When you're ready, open your eyes.
So much. It's just a moving sensation.
You're the first one that's lived 10,000 years I know of in that life. Others have too. They just remember the one that's most traumatizing for them. But there's great brilliance in that lifetime. No fear. You had no fear growing up. There was no doubt and fear and faith and belief. You knew what source energy was. You knew who you were running that body. It was terrorizing to be killed in this way. But it happened to all of us, so don't feel alone about that, because you're not.
Really moving.
Well, now you know that's not a subconscious thing that can control you anymore. It's conscious now, not subconscious.
It was great. It was great and amazing to know about these rainbow rock, the Atma that run these crystals.
It's the first time I've seen it because of you.
Thank you. You guided. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all new experiences in some ways, each and every one of them, even for me, because I wasn't there for the lifetime you had on that planet. The 450 million plus spacefaring world systems isn't just 450 million planets. It's many planets circling 450 million sun systems in our galaxy. That's a big organization.
It's just undescribable. Yeah, just
Well,
really.
I'm just grateful that you had the courage to do it and that I had the privilege to help you.
I'm thankful for all the Master Being and Satnam and
That's all that's required. Divine
Yeah.
love, what people don't know on earth is divine love is respect for other life. To respect other life, you have to know it. We're required to know all life in the grand multidimensional creation. Actually, we already do. But we have to remember this. We have to wake this up now. That's part of this unique new process coming from the upper realities into the lower worlds. Through the Galactic Alliance, spacefaring cultures, its master teachers, it's all changing now. The worlds of time and space, the galaxies and the portals and the doorways, it's all in place. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is with beings who don't remember and that make decisions based on fear. Earth is just packed full of them. Not living a normal life at all. So you're very fortunate to start to become aware of this fact because you are.
Yeah, really, really, really light. Yeah, my body and everything, you just feel like I can float.
Yeah, good. That's good. That's good. Well, the next couple of days you might want to play the recording back But do it with childlike wonder. Don't make it a serious thing. Don't do that. Have fun with it. You know, I tell people this. I thought that was off. Have fun with it, and maybe get a notebook. Take some notes, feelings, senses. You could take that lifetime and go into it and go backwards before you got to that planet, what you were doing. You could go forwards. We already went forwards, so you can go backward in that life. 10,000 years if you want to. That's going to raise a lot of higher consciousness in you. Higher intelligence, higher IQ, everything. And your body on Earth is not conditioned to this. It didn't grow up with any of this. So you have to bring it back to the life you have here. It will take care of itself.
Thank you. Okay, I'll do that.
I'll bring this recording to a close.